You just turned 19, your high school girlfriend tells you she's pregnant. What's your reaction?
I got sick to my stomach because this was a week or two before school was ending. So in my mind, I'm like, I'm about to leave Duke, get ready for the draft, live my life, like have a blast. And then it's like, you about to have a kid. I was selfish at first, honestly. Like, I was more worried about getting drafted than I was about being a dad. Because my whole life I dreamed about going to NBA, and the best day of my life was 2 months away. I didn't tell anybody, like I didn't tell my teammates, the coaches, anything.
And you were really concerned about that at first, right? Like sharing that with anybody you worked with?
I didn't want it to impact where I got drafted. I thought that if teams knew I was about to have a kid, they were gonna think I wasn't focused and that they wouldn't pick me. So I was terrified. I didn't want anybody to know, which was extremely selfish. So I remember I told Brad Stevens, like, I remember we were on a plane and one of the trainers knew, and he was like, have you told Brad yet? I was like, no, why I need to tell Brad? Because I'm like, I don't really know these people yet. Like, why would I tell them this private information? He was like, well, isn't she due like next week? I'm like, yeah. He's like, you might miss a game. I'm like, oh, shit. So I go in the back of the plane, I'm like, Brad, I don't know how to say this, but I might miss a game next week. He was like, what's wrong? I was like, I'm expecting a child. He was like, oh, really? And I was like, yeah, she lives in Boston, she's due next week, so I just wanted to tell you. He was real supportive.
What did your mom say on that 3 a.m. call you guys had when you first told her?
I was like, Ma, you by yourself? She like, I'm with Jake, he sleep. I'm like, I gotta tell you something. And I was like, she's pregnant. And my whole life, my mom had me at 19, so she didn't want me to have a kid at 19. She knew how hard it was.
And her mom had her young.
Yeah.
I thought it had something to do with basketball or maybe a girl, but I didn't expect that. At that moment, I remembered how terrified I was when I had to go through that and how I felt like I was gonna disappoint my mom. And so I just told them, listen, for most people, it's the money, right? Like you can't afford to have a kid, and I was like, you clearly don't have that problem. And I was like, and I got your back in everything you do, and so we'll figure it out.
She could tell how nervous I was and how scared I was in that moment. I remember she was like, it's gonna be all right, we'll figure it out, just get some sleep. And that made me feel at ease.
He changed your life how?
He made me grow up faster and mature, because with all this newfound, fame and success and money at 19, that's a lot to handle. I wouldn't change it for the world. It motivates me. Seeing him come to all the games, practice, watch me work out, he motivates me to be the best player, the best father, the best role model that I could be.
I think it's grounded him. I think it's given him perspective. Even something as gut-wrenching as the finals and how when he came home, Deuce thinks he's the best thing that God ever created. So he's like, Daddy, you want tacos? He could care less. And I think that helps him put things in perspective. At the end of the day, he plays a game for a living, and Deuce is far more important.
When he came out and I held him for the first time, instantly, my whole perspective changed. And I was just like, oh, nothing else matters. Nothing else matters but taking care of him.
I just knew then he was gonna be the doting father that he is. And they're a lot alike. And neither one of them showed me any attention when the other one's around, so.
Really?
But Deuce will wait up till 2 a.m. if he can, and he will sit and look out the door waiting on Jayson to pull up home after a game. I'm just blessed to be able to watch it.